Hey, everybody. Welcome back. John Aravosis here. Welcome, folks, YouTubers. I will get TikTok rolling in a second. I'm going to adjust my light. The light's not bad. It's not too bad. There we go. I have to get it just right to help you all, but not be too bright to annoy me. Anyway, all right. TikTok is actually ready. Go live. All right. All right. Good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock here where I live. How is everybody today on YouTube? Here comes TikTok. Mirror, boom, boom. There we go. All right. TikTok is rolling. Hello, TikTokers. Hey, Amanda. Harvey, good to see you. Let me see here. So I'm getting all my notes corralled here. That's pretty good. Got a good amount of, actually, interesting news today. A lot of interesting news today, I would say. I think. Yeah, Harvey's joining us over at YouTube today. Hey, Running. John S., thank you for the gifts. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Super Hornet. It is Monday, what is it, November 18th. Tomorrow, I think, well, depending how you count it, tomorrow they're saying is the 1,000th day anniversary of the war in Ukraine. My Alexa says something different, I think. I think Alexa says we're 2 days away. Alexa, how many days has it been since February 24th, 2022?
Thursday, February 24th, 2022 was 997 days ago.
997. Thank you, Christina. That was very cool. I've not seen that one before, the Fest cheers. Thank you. Yeah, so Alexa's saying 997 days. Google, I think, says 998. The experts are saying 999. So I don't quite understand. Nicholas, were you gone? That you are back. Thank you, Running, as well, for the gift. I didn't see you. Well, I guess you were gone, so glad you're back. Hey, Pedro. Anyway, welcome, guys. Thank you, Running. Thank you, user 336. Oh, you shortened yourself. You're 336 now. I don't remember you shortening that. We were talking about it though. We were talking about you're like 7 of 9. Now you're just 7. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate the gift. Thank you, Rory. I did not get the dog water. I'm going to be in trouble here. Oh, God, really? Really? Oh, geez, I did not get the dog water. Hey, Carol, thank you for the cracker. And 1 second, guys. I usually start the show by giving the dog water, and I forgot. 1 second. All right, you. All right. Okay, let's start with some water. Oh, God, that's not even enough. That's enough for the moment, I think. All right. Hello. All right. That was a bit silly. Thank you, Oren. Thank you, Carol. Jens in Sweden. Hello. Hey, Running. Yes, Sasha gets needy. You know that. Hey, Pedro. Anyway, so welcome, guys. Yeah, as always, we're going to start with the news about, we're going to start with the news about Trump and everything and then Ukraine, although it's all kind of tied in a bit right now. Northeast Annie says, did you see Peru signing a huge military infrastructure deal with South Korea instead of Russia or China? I did not see that. Ooh. That's interesting. No. Thank you, Naisha. Thank you, Catherine. That's very interesting. Wow. I did not know that. Good. Very good. Joe and Mika. Yeah. I can start with that, Andrew. Hey, Skeen. So Andrew's talking about, thank you, Nisha. Thank you. Andrew's talking about, and hey, Info Privid from Ukraine. Welcome. Hope you're doing well there. So Andrew was asking about, I think it was Andrew, about Joe and Mika. So Joe Scarborough is a former Republican member of Congress, very conservative, was a Trumper, now is very anti-Trump. Today, he and his co-host, who's also his wife on his TV show on MSNBC, they announced that they went to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump to try to sort of, reestablish a relationship. People got very upset that he was selling out. Nope, watch it. Whoever moderator just did that, Ash, that person might have been calling Joe a sellout. Be careful that I'd get that person, unless they were trolling elsewise, they might have been saying Joe Scarborough was a sellout. No, I may be wrong, but I would bring them back, and if they troll again, then get rid of them. So the issue was that, so this American who's very anti-Trump decided to meet with Trump. Now, people got very upset that he was trying to meet with Trump to establish a rapport, blah, blah, blah. I'm very in between on this. Everyone got upset and said, you shouldn't don't normalize Trump. He's caving and trying to become Trump's friend. Maybe. Or maybe Trump is president again and he figures, you know what? Let's see if we can establish a relationship with the guy. Thank you, Jonathan. I mean, you never know. I'm very 50-50 here. They may be obeying in advance. I'm not sure. They may, having said that, thank you, KT, I could see him saying, you know what? First of all, Trump is lying about it. Trump came out and said, he came and begged to meet with me. I didn't want to, but I met with him anyway. And basically, like Trump always does. Trump always lies about stuff and whatever. So it is quite possible, thank you, Elizabeth, it's quite possible that Trump put out the message that Trump wanted to meet Scarborough, right? And he wanted to talk. It's quite possible. I would not be surprised. And Scarborough did it and said, sure. I am not 100% convinced that Scarborough set this up on his own. Because again, Trump's a liar. So I don't know. I'm very 50-50 on it. Because also, some people, by the way, got upset that Biden did the photo op with Trump when he invited Trump to the White House. And people got upset about that. You called him a fascist, but then you're doing photo opportunities with him at the White House. Thank you, Danan. Yeah, that's the way democracy works. In American democracy, the president invites the guy who won to the White House. And they sit and they have coffee and they talk, and that's the way you do it. That's how you do it. You do not. Oops, what's the dog doing? Hello, dog. Obviously we don't like Trump, and he is a fascist. His own top staff have called him a fascist. That doesn't mean we break the tradition of having the peaceful transition of power. The whole point of Biden inviting Trump to the White House was to acknowledge we are a democracy, and whoever wins, that's who comes next. And you meet with them and you put aside your differences, right, for the peaceful transition of power, even if the other guy is a fascist. And people got upset. Like Biden should have said, no, I don't buy that. Dog, what are you doing? Sasha. Sasha wants to roam on the balcony, but then she goes out there and eats twigs. Thank you, Bowie. So I kind of feel the same way about Scarborough. I want to know more about it first. I'm not entirely convinced that it's wrong to meet with Trump. He is a fascist. He's a bad man. He's a horrible human being. I'm still not convinced it's wrong to meet with him. What's wrong is to cave to him. What's wrong is to go to Trump on bended knee. Oh my God, be my friend, right? No, that is not what you should do with Trump. But to meet with him, the man is going to be president. Sasha, come on. Hey. Oh my God, she's eating sticks again. She's eating sticks. I know. Hey, get over here. She's so bad. My dog is so bad. Get in here. She's outside eating sticks because that's what my dog does. So yeah. So I'm divided on it. I'm divided. I know, but I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Thank you, Russell. Maybe Scarborough is caving, right? To meet with Trump. Maybe it's possible. So the other question. Oh, thank you, Ava. Thank you, Alex. I like that new gift. The Fest Crown thing. Oh, Alex and Crumpy both. Thank you, guys. It's very cool. Thank you, B, for the rose. So the other interesting story. I'm going to get through a lot of the other news too with Trump and Ukraine and everything else. Thank you, Ava. But the other interesting story, I actually tweeted about this today. I'm on Blue Sky as well. Same name, Aravosis. I'm Aravosis on Twitter, Aravosis on Blue Sky. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Blue Zone. Thank you, Jorge. Where's JD Vance? Where is JD Vance? Where is he? Donald Trump's vice president. He's missing. Trump is hiding him. Everyone surrounding Trump has gone public. Elon Musk won't go away, right? RFK Jr. almost won't go away, right? Tulsi Gabbard. All these people keep popping up on camera with Trump in his plane eating McDonald's, camera with Trump at some boxing match or whatever they call it, right? These guys are all on TV. Trump's son tweeting. JD Vance has disappeared, as Barry just said. JD Vance is gone. JD Vance isn't tweeting. Oh, thank you for the chicken. Thank you, Phoenix. He's not making any public appearances. He's certainly not appearing with Trump anywhere, right? All the other guys are appearing with Trump. Where's JD Vance? Trump is hiding him. I'm very intrigued. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Marcia. Clearly, it's not about the election anymore because, right? The election happened. Trump won. So he doesn't need to hide Vance because Vance is trouble. I think Trump is pissed at him. Trump is punishing him. I think he definitely got a timeout. Exactly. He really, no, he got it. He got couched. Oh no, that was good from Farah. He got couched. Oh, that was very good. There was too much talk of JD Vance sort of seeing himself as Trump's, like Trump wouldn't survive the presidency and JD Vance was planning to take over. And I think Trump saw that story and didn't like it. Thank you, Mustard. What is interesting, however, is that the same thing, of course, is happening with Elon Musk now, except Elon Musk has $1 billion or $200 billion. JD Vance does not. But very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, Greg, be careful with comments like that. I know what you meant. Just so the mods know, Greg is actually making a reference to Trump supporters wanting to lynch Mike Pence. But be careful with that, Greg, because I read that and thought you were making a threat. And I'm telling the mods just so they know, but I would get rid of that comment. I don't know if you can delete comments, but I know what you meant. And you are correct that the Trump supporters did threaten to kill the vice president. But yeah, just so you know. Anyway, I just saw that and I was thinking, oh, the mods are going to get you thinking you were making threats. That's not what he was doing. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Adventures. Thank you, Marsha. All right, let's get rolling here. Thank you, Marsha. That fest thing is very cool. I like it. All right, let's get rolling here. Oh, perfect. Deleted the comment. Perfect, Manda. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, let's get rolling. So the big news today with Ukraine, yes, your comment made it sound like you were talking about going after the vice president, like doing that to him. And it took me a second until I went, oh, you were referring to the threat the MAGA people made on January 6th to Mike Pence, but it made it look like you were threatening the vice president today. Anyway, let's not get into it. Yes. Any case. All right. Except now I will say Big Burger's leaving us though. Yes, there we go. There we go. All right. So let's talk about this. So the big news today, and it's already getting complicated. We found out this weekend that President Biden gave the Ukrainians permission to use American ATACMS missiles to attack into Russian territory. Now, it's complicated. Thank you, Mikey. The U.S. had sort of lifted, but not entirely, its ban on Ukraine using our weapons to fire into Russia months ago, but they still had the ban in place. Thank you, Marsha. Kind of, sort of. It depended on the weapons, like ATACMS weapons, which are these particular kind of missiles we had banned the Ukrainians from using within Russia. Now we lifted it. Now, just to give a little more detail on this, and then also it's very complicated, actually, what's going on with this. The Ukraine, I gotta get my maps now. I keep forgetting I'm back. I've got to get the maps back. Got to see. Hold on a second. Where is my map? 1 second here. I just realized I don't have my my Ukraine map is hiding. Hello, Ukraine map. One moment here. Where is my Ukraine map? Here it is. There we go. All right. Don't you go bark at Brutus. Oops, Sasha's going to hear the neighbors. My Ukraine map is back. I totally forgot. So what is going on here? We were, what was I talking about with the ATACMS? So here's Ukraine, okay? Here is Russia. Russia is also way over here. Russia's a very big country. But Russia borders Ukraine all along here. The Russians invaded, right? They're occupying lots of Ukraine. The Russians are inside Ukraine, occupying 20% of maybe 18% of the country. B, the Russians are also in Russia firing into Ukraine. In order for Ukraine to stop the Russians, they need to go after Russian troops. They need to go after Russian. Thank you, Elva, for subscribing. Thank you. Who's that? Oh, Elva for the gift. Thank you, Elva. Oh, multiple gifts. Thank you. Very sweet of you. Thank you, Rachel, as well. Elva, you're on a roll here. Thank you so much for those. Those are very generous gifts, too. You are crazy. Thank you, I appreciate that. She's going to keep going. I got to keep thanking you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Red Leg, as well. Hey, Rado in Bulgaria. So because the Russians are across the border in Ukraine, the Ukrainians need to fire across the border at the Russians in order to get them. Well, initially, the U.S. and all the NATO allies had a policy where we were giving Ukraine a bunch of weapons, but we told them, you can't use our weapons to fire into Russia. So the Russians were like, okay, cool. we'll just go on the border with Ukraine and we'll fire into Ukraine. And the Ukrainians, since most of their weapons are Western, can't fire back, right? I mean, great. Well, finally, NATO changed that policy several months ago and said, okay, we'll let the Ukrainians use some weapons to fire back, especially in the border region. Thank you, Russell. Especially in the border region. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Marsha. Lots of gifts coming in today. Thank you, guys. But not all the weapons. American ATACMS, we said you can't use to fire into Russia. British cruise missiles, French cruise missiles, we said you can't use them to fire in. That was because of Biden, by the way, because American and British cruise missiles have got some components that are American. I think it's the navigation system is American. So the Americans have the right to say, no, you can't use those to fire into Russia. Biden changed that this weekend. He said, okay, the Ukrainians can use the cruise missiles to fire into Russia, not the cruise missiles, the ATACMS missiles, the American missiles, to fire into Russia. Thank you, Emil. But we think only, thank you, Randy, thank you, Grumpy. We think only to go after the Kursk region, which is up here, which I've got to know, that's Sumi. Kursk, help me out. No, Kursk is up here. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at this going, I'm used to my old map. I think Kursk is basically up here. To go after the Kursk region that the Ukrainians are occupying. So it looks like Biden probably limited the Ukrainian weapons, the American weapons, to being fired over here. Okay, it looks like that. Oh, hey, Russell. So there's some limitations. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Running. There's some limitations that the Ukrainians cannot use these weapons to fire willy-nilly into Russia. B, either the weapons have to be fired into Russia with the intent of helping the fighting in the Kursk region. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, LOC. Or the weapons have to be fired only into the Kursk region, but somehow they've got to be related to the Kursk region. We then found out that yesterday, Le Figaro, the French publication, said that at the same time that Biden gave this okay, thank you, Elizabeth, for the gift, Biden also said it was okay for the British and French cruise missiles to be used by the Ukrainians inside Russia. Well, today, the British paper, the Sun, says no. Now, the Sun is a tabloid. I don't normally trust them, but they say they got multiple sources saying that, thank you, Randy Fred, thank you, Elizabeth, saying that the Brits have said they do not have permission yet from the Americans to use their own cruise missiles, or for the Ukrainians to use their cruise missiles. Thank you, Terrence. It sounds like it's true. It sounds like Biden is still tying the Ukrainian hands in A, he's putting restrictions on how they can use our weapons inside Russia, and B, he's not letting them use the British and French weapons inside Russia. Thank you, Marty. Why? I mean, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Here's the thing too, and the Sun isn't reliable, but thank you, Betsy. The British Prime Minister was interviewed today at the G20, and he gave answers that seemed to back this up. He was asked about this and gave his answers. Thank you, Carrie. We're not, we've given permission. It's kind of, we're still working on it, this kind of thing. So this story sounds like it's true, to be honest. In any case, so where things stand now? Well, the Russians are freaking out. Big surprise. Thank you, Christian. Well, actually, it gets kind of interesting. Thank you, Emil, Christian, and Janice for the gifts. The Russians, before this, talk, World War III. Initially, the Russians talked about World War III again. They love to do that. The Russians are the biggest bullshitters, frankly, when it comes to talking about World War III that are out there. Thank you, Elizabeth. Everything, Biden wipes his nose, and the Russians go, World War III. So the Russians have very effectively scared Biden and scared the French and scared the British. The French are kind of changing their minds slowly into not helping Ukraine sufficiently by convincing them, the Russians are going to go crazy. They're going to use their nuclear weapons. It'll be World War III if you help Ukraine. Thank you, Russell. That's why the U.S. has pulled punches from the beginning. The French have, the Brits have, not the Brits, but the French and the Germans have. We refused to give tanks. We refused to give HIMARS. We refused to give javelins years ago. We refused to give fighter jets, on and on. And we refused to give Patriot missiles. It took us 9 months to give Ukraine the Patriot missile batteries it needed. And then we gave like 2 or something ridiculous. Biden has been afraid from the beginning of pissing off Russia. Now, we now know that the Biden administration reached some conclusion at the beginning that they believed there was a 50% chance that Putin would use nuclear weapons in Ukraine if he was losing or whatever. So they were afraid of pissing off Putin. Okay, and that's fair. The problem is somebody like Putin and the Russians, and by the way, it's not like Russia's a new country. Russia's been around for hundreds of years. They're frankly the same people they were during the Soviet years. They're just like the Soviets, different form of government, same people running the government. And I always tell people, it's not like, all those Soviet leaders, like Putin, for example. Putin was a KGB colonel. He was a colonel in the KGB, the Russian, secret spy police people. It's not like he became a different man when the Soviet Union blew up and the country changed. Thank you, running, right? December, I don't remember if it was December, but it was 1991 when the Soviet Union basically stopped existing. Thank you, that one guy, and then became Russia, and they let all the other countries go that they were holding hostage, like Ukraine. Thank you, Larissa. It's not like in 1991 when the Soviet Union stopped being the Soviet Union and Russia became simply Russia. Did the Russian people somehow magically change that day? I mean, the name of their country changed from USSR to Russia. Okay. Did the Russian people change? No, the same people. Did the Russian leaders change? Same people. The same people who were communists, and they were frankly hegemonic communist dictator types the day before, were still in charge the day after, right? They're not any different. Thank you, Jamie. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. Oh, as far as Biden. The best way to avoid, nuclear war and to avoid World War III with the Russians is to stand up to the Russians. You don't show that you're afraid of them. Thank you, Incognito. You don't keep you especially don't keep talking about World War III out of fear. Oh my God, it'll be world. Biden did this at the beginning of the Ukraine war. Biden, you will find there's some quote from Biden about, we can't go to war with the Russians. It'll be World War III. Showing he was scared of going to war with the Russians. Trump repeatedly does this. Today, we heard from like 6 or 7 people upset about Biden giving Ukraine permission to use American weapons inside Russia. Thank you, Alva. 6 of those people were top Trump officials. The 7th was the Russian Kremlin spokesman. Those are the people upset today about giving Ukraine this permission. Thank you, Laddie. The best way to cause World War III isn't standing up to the Russians, isn't arming the Ukrainians. It's not standing up to the Russians. It's not standing up to the Russian government. The best way to convince Putin that war is the answer, that more war is the answer, is not to stand up to him, is for him to basically think the Americans are afraid of World War III. And by the way, same thing goes for the Chinese. If you don't think the Chinese government is watching this and thinking Biden is terrified, but mind you, Biden's gone in 2 months. Biden is terrified of going to war with a nuclear power. He said so. He said so. Well, guess who's a nuclear power? China. Biden has said we must do everything to avoid going to war with a nuclear power, I should say, which includes China. Thank you, Christine. Trump clearly has surrounded himself with peaceniks. Trump has made clear he's terrified of going to war with Russia. World War III, he called it. Well, why is it World War III with Russia and not World War III with China, right? Why should we believe that Trump and all the peaceniks, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Trump's own son, right? All the other peaceniks Trump has surrounded himself with, why will any of them have the balls to stand up to China if they're terrified of standing up to Russia? China has nuclear weapons, right? China's 1.5 billion people, or 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion, whatever it is. That's like, right? What is that, 15% of the world's population or something? You get this. You get this. In any case, so what we think is going on with this, as far as why Biden gave Ukraine the permission to use the American weapons today, is it looks like basically, and this is actually very smart of Biden, Biden is trying to give Ukraine a final push to hold on to the land that they invaded, that they're holding on in Russia. As I said earlier, Russia controls about 18% of Ukraine, okay? This area all through here. The Ukrainians control a very small sliver of Russia up here, okay? They invaded and grabbed some land. That gives Ukraine some very interesting leverage. Up until now, Russia has been happy to talk about, oh, let's freeze the war. Let's have a stop, right? Let's just stop where we are, because Russia invaded and controls 18% of Ukraine. They're occupying 18% of Ukraine. Of course, Russia would love to freeze things where they are, right? Well, now that Ukraine is occupying part of Russia as well, Russia can't freeze the war where it is. If they freeze the war where it is, they're acknowledging Ukraine controls part of Russia. And, being a dictatorship, as Russia is, dictators don't do well when part of their land gets occupied by foreign powers. No one has invaded Russia since World War II. No one has occupied land in Russia since World War II, right? Very interesting. Very interesting. Goodbye. So it's Biden's idea is to give Ukraine these weapons, let them use them inside Russia, and hopefully this will allow Ukraine to hang on to the territory that it's holding in Russia that they can then use as a bargaining chip for the negotiations that Trump is going to cause. Thank you, Russell. Oh, I'm not. That is hilarious. The trash panda. It was a panda eating out of the trash in a dumpster fire. That was absolutely bizarre, but thank you for that. I'm trying to think what else with regard. There's a lot of other news, but what else with regards to this? The Russians. So the Russians did retaliate already. Last night, someone destroyed two communications cables, internet cables connecting. I think it's Lithuania and let me just check here. It was Lithuania and Sweden and maybe Germany and Lithuania. I'm trying to. Germany and Finland and Lithuania and Sweden. Pretty much the Russians. They went and they decided to cut two communications cables. Gee, scary, right? I was promised nuclear war, right? They cut two internet cables. Ooh, so scary. This is what Russia's been doing this kind of shit for years. Sea cables, exactly, Jared. They've been doing this kind of crap for years. It's Russia's response to us arming the Ukrainians. By the way, keep in mind, the reason Biden gave Ukraine permission to use our weapons inside Russia is because the Russians have 10,000 North Koreans going towards 12,000 inside Russia fighting now against the Ukrainians. And another 90,000 are coming. There's a story today from Bloomberg, I think, that the Russians are planning on bringing possibly as many as 100,000 North Korean troops to fight in the war, but they will not be bringing them all at once. They're going to be basically rotating them in and out, or as they get killed, as they get injured, bringing new ones in. Still, that's a serious escalation, bringing the North Koreans into the war. Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you, Pretty. And up until now, I will say for the last almost 3 years, Biden has not done a very good job. Thank you, Miss Betty, for the gift. Has not done a very good job of responding to Russian escalation. Thank you, Pretty Fiddle. Thank you, Disco. I've said all along that whenever the Russians do something outrageous, use a new weapon, kill civilians, which they've been doing every day, steal Ukrainian children, which the Russians have been doing, and they've been indicted in the International Criminal Court for kidnapping Ukrainian children, literally kidnapping the kids to turn them into Russians. Every time the Russians did that, we should have turned around and said, okie dokie, guess what? You decide to escalate, we're now going to give the Ukrainians a weapon system you didn't want us to give, right? Right? You kill civilians in Bucha, now we're giving them HIMARS, right? You blow up civilians here, now we're going to give them Patriot missiles. Every time the Russians did something outrageous that they escalated, we should have responded by giving the Ukrainians something else or giving the Ukrainians additional permission to fire at something else. And it would have, again, whether the Russians in the end would have stopped, I don't know. But we should have made the Russians pay a price every time they did something outrageous, every time they escalated. Biden's finally doing that now. Biden is finally giving Ukrainians additional permission to use our weapons inside Russia because the Russians have brought the North Koreans into the battle and escalated. But it's the first time Biden has done this in 3 years. Folks that regularly watch my show know what I'm talking about. It is, and people who are new to this, I think sometimes get a little confused when I criticize Biden. Biden never wanted Ukraine to win the war. He wanted to make sure Ukraine didn't lose. Biden's concern was Russia wins and they take all of Ukraine. He wanted to stop that. But Russia didn't want Ukraine to get all of its land back and embarrass Russia. Because, as we now know, there was an assessment in the Biden administration that if Ukraine does too well in the war, there's a 50% chance Biden will use nuclear weapons. So Biden from the beginning didn't want Ukraine to do well, but he didn't want Ukraine to lose either. I always put it as he didn't want Russia to win, but he didn't want Ukraine to win. He wanted a tie. He wanted to help Ukraine get some land back, but then have the conflict freeze and be a tie. That's what he got. That's what he got. And it also made Biden each step of the way hold back, not give weapons, And then when he gave the weapons, he'd give a little bit, like Patriot missiles. We finally gave one or two, right? Our Patriot missile batteries. Same thing with HIMARS. We held off forever on the HIMARS, and then we gave them one. And then we gave them a second one. And it was like, oh, that was really nice of you. Tanks, we waited 1.5 years for tanks. We waited 2 years for fighter jets. Slowly. And all that accomplished really was we created a tie. We didn't give Ukraine the weapons it needed right away. Thank you, Jeddah. Had we given Ukraine the weapons it needed right away, Ukraine could have actually won the war. They could have pushed Russia out, but we made sure Ukraine didn't have enough weapons in order to push Russia out. Thank you, Danan. Thank you, Bree. This is why I criticize Biden, because in the end, thank you, Liv, Biden did better than Trump, of course, right? Trump would have literally given all of Ukraine to Russia. We know that. But we're not grading on a curve here, right? Right? We're not saying, well, he was better than the bad guy. So, that's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. I grade people by what's possible. And what I mean is, I also think it's unfair to judge politicians by things they couldn't accomplish anyway, right? Honestly, to some degree, I'd say Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, really, which was Trump's withdrawal, by the way. It was Trump's whole deal that Biden was implementing. I'm not sure what else Biden could have done at that point. Trump gave him a bad deal. Thank you, Courtney. And everything blew up in his face. I'm not entirely sure it's totally fair to blame Biden for that entirely, because it was just a bad deal. It would blow up no matter what. In this case, Biden had a choice. I don't think Biden didn't have a choice. I don't think, Biden did the best he could. No, he really didn't. Biden was afraid of Putin. And the Germans were afraid of Putin and the French were afraid of Putin. And they held back. And by holding back, they stopped Ukraine's chance of winning. And I think Ukraine could have won had we given them the good weapons at the beginning of the war. Anyway. All right. Let's keep going here. Beep. Axios. So this was it. So more about the Trump camp and the transition. Axios, which is a very good political publication here in DC. Thank you, Bowie. Thank you, Courtney. Reports that Elon Musk had a big public fight with one of Trump's top aides, Boris Epstein. Boris Epstein is one of the scary Russia people. He's originally Russian, I believe, and emigrated to the U.S. He's another one of Trump's creepy Russia ties, basically. But they had a very public fight over dinner, yelling at each other. Elon accused Boris of leaking some information to the media. It's good news, frankly. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Jelly. Thank you, Gabs. Just because any kind of blow up between Elon and Trump's inner circle is useful. And it fuels the sense and the story we've been hearing that Trump's staff is getting sick of Elon. That Elon Trump. That's Elon Trump. That's exactly it. That Elon Musk thinks he's the co-president. Elon Musk thinks he's in charge, right? He thinks he's the reason Trump got elected, and Trump doesn't like that kind of stuff. So this is actually, Elania, they're calling him. Exactly, I'm a user, Elania, like Elania Trump. Any case. Oh, that's true. Epstein, I didn't think of that. How many Epsteins is he charged to? Yes, this is Epstein, like EPH, like Epstein versus Epstein, same name though. All right, a little bit more here. Trump's mandate. So this was interesting. So Trump's mandate, not very mandatey, kind of boy-datey rather than mandatey, very shallow. It is now well under 50%. Trump's margin of victory at this point ranks 44 out of 51 since 1824. Trump has the lowest margin of, not the lowest, on the scale of biggest margin of victory for a president to lowest since 1824 in the last 200 years, yeah. Trump's victory ranks 44 out of 51. So 44 being bad, 51 being worse, 44 out of 51. 4 Democrats won Senate seats in states Trump won. That did not happen in 2016 or 2020. That means Trump's, again, victory was weaker. Republicans are on track for the smallest House majority since there were 50 states. It's an interesting story because we are now seeing Trump is well under 50%. I think his victory is now 1.7%, which is still a victory, but it's a small victory. And they keep claiming a mandate, and they will keep continuing to claim a mandate. But it's important to remember that he won. I mean, he did win. It was fair and square. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. But if he's going to walk around and call it a mandate, he's wrong. All right. Let's move on to Ukraine. So depending who you talk to, it might be day 999. I think it's day 997 or 998 of Putin's special 3-day military operation, but who knows? Thank you, Bowie, for the gift. So Russian attacks across Ukraine killed 18 people overnight, injuring more than 110. The Russians have decided to go crazy and bomb Ukraine as much as they can before Trump comes into office. Basically, they know that Trump is going to try to put an end to the war, and they want to get as much land as they can, including getting their own land back. So they killed a lot of people in Ukraine last night. The Turkish president put forward his own peace proposal that Ukraine would not be very happy with. Thank you, Digits. But ironically, the Russians are not happy either. So the Turkish president, who is always causing us trouble, reportedly is proposing Ukraine forego joining NATO for at least 10 years. And honestly, Ukraine's not joining NATO anytime soon anyway. It is a bit of a cave, though, giving it to Russia. I don't like that. I don't like giving it to the Russians, say, okay, we promise you won't join, but Ukraine's not joining anyway anytime soon. Thank you, Trish. Freezing the current front line, which Ukraine will not like because it means it's letting Russia retain 18% of Ukraine. What's interesting, however, is if you freeze the current front line, it means Ukraine gets to occupy part of Russia, which is very interesting, and the Russians are not happy about that. Providing Ukraine with weapons and deploying international troops to a demilitarized buffer zone in the Donbass in eastern Ukraine. The Ukrainians are not going to like this, but the Russians already said they don't like it either, which is interesting. And I think it's because Russia doesn't want to lose its own land in Russia that the Ukrainians are occupying. North Korea, I told you, may deploy as many as 100,000 troops. The only thing is that is in total over time. It is not 100,000 North Korean troops arriving on the border. There's 10,000 troops on the border now. Those 10,000 get killed or injured. They leave. Another 10,000 come in. So they would keep refreshing the troops, which is still significant, but it's not as big as it could be. Polish President Duda criticized German Chancellor Scholz's phone call with Putin, calling it a mistake. I thought that was interesting. Scholz, as you know, recently reached out to Putin, had not spoken to him in 2 years. And he called Putin the other day. The Ukrainians were not happy. Some of the Europeans were not happy because basically by reaching out, and thank you, Adam, Stefan, for the gift. Thank you, Danan, as well. By reaching out to Putin, and when he hadn't spoken to Putin in 2 years, it basically was giving Putin a gift. It was making Putin less isolated, and you shouldn't do that without getting something in return, is the idea. So a famous Russian ballet dancer and Putin critic fell out of a window and died in the last couple of days. Big surprise. Thank you, Grandma. This happens a lot in Russia, unfortunately. A lot of Putin's critics get murdered by Putin. A large number of them die by falling out of windows. A lot of them fall out of windows. This guy was a ballet dancer. He wasn't feeling well or something and was on his balcony, and his friends say lost his balance and fell over the railing. How do you lose your balance and fall over the railing? Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Bowie. I don't quite know how that happens. Thank you. For example, America is 333 million people or so. Russia is 153 million people, less than half our size. We constantly hear about Russians falling out of windows. You never hear about Americans falling out of windows, ever. Like, it's not a story here, ever. As who just noticed as well, as Snowblade just said, and a ballet dancer, no less, right? Ballet dancer, somebody whose entire purpose in life is having coordination over their entire body. A ballet dancer, of all people, trips on a balcony and goes falling off the edge. Really? In any case, he had criticized the war effort. It is possible that he died on his own. It's also possible that he was another victim of Putin, because this does happen in Russia, unfortunately. It was this is my favorite. This is my favorite. What his friend said, he went out onto the balcony to get some air and a smoke, and he lost his balance. It was a very narrow balcony. Yeah, sure. This is his friend who also doesn't want to have a mistake on a balcony, who's making this point, by the way. CNN. So this was the last story I was going to tell you. This was actually an interesting story. I was telling you guys last week, there are a lot of stories about the Russian economy not doing well. It's very interesting. I mean, a lot of stories recently about problems with the Russian economy. We know inflation is one of them. We know the budget deficit's another one. This one's about inflation. Listen to this. Butter, some meats, and onions are about 25% more expensive than a year ago, according to official data. Some supermarkets in Russia have taken to keeping butter in locked cabinets. Russian social media has shown stocks being stolen. The Russians are resorting to stealing butter because the butter prices have gotten so expensive. The overall inflation rate, the official inflation rate, is just shy of 10%, much higher than the central bank anticipated. Now, let me make a point here. That's the official Russian inflation rate. I had read months ago that the real inflation rate could be 16%, it could be 18%. So I would not believe the official rate being 10%. Inflation is being driven. This is from CNN, by the way. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Flower Lady. Oh, hello. That was very cool. Thank you. That's the fest celebration. I almost feel like it's coming up different each time. I guess it isn't, but maybe I'm just not familiar with it yet. But it almost looks different every time it comes up. Thank you for that. From CNN, inflation is being driven by the rapid rise in wages as the Kremlin pours billions into military industries. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the train, and sends millions of men to fight in Ukraine. In the middle of a war, companies outside the defense sector can't compete for workers without paying much higher wages. So the war is going on. Putin is pushing all of his men. Thank you, Elizabeth and Jen, for the gifts, and Snowblade. Putin's pushing all of his men into the war industry, leaving not enough men and women available to work in the other industries. So the other industries are having to raise their wages to try to get employers. Raising wages raises inflation, right? You also have the problem, 1 million Russian men fled the country, and they were, young men of good work experience years fled the country to avoid going to war in Ukraine. COVID, Russia had huge deaths from COVID because Russia was just a disaster in how they handled the COVID crisis. Thank you, Ron. All coming together to basically cause a shortage of qualified men in the economy. And now you've got the Russians pouring tons of money into the defense industry. So the defense industry is hiring everybody and nobody's available to work in any other industry. So now the prices are going through the roof for every other industry, okay? That's the gist of it. In the middle of a war, companies outside the defense sector can't compete for workers without paying much higher wages. In turn, they charge higher prices, so the spiral continues. It's from CNN. In an effort to cool inflation, the central bank, listen to this, the central bank raised its key interest rate in October to a record high of 21%. Our interest rates here are at, I think, 4.5% or so, right? Alexa, what's the interest rate at in the US? 5.5. Are we that high? Alexa, raise your volume. Alexa's saying 5.5. Okay, I thought we were at 4 something. Either way, it's oh, and by the way, I see we have the trolls. Quick talk, since we have Trump trolls again. So, hello Trump trolls. So we have to have a little bit of education for the Trump trolls. I see we have Trump trolls who are going, you believe CNN? See, here's the situation. In MAGA land, you're used to people lying to you left and right because you guys, I don't know, your leaders like Trump and the Republican Party seem to think that you will believe lies better than the truth. So they lie to you a lot. In the rest of the world, we're actually used to being told the truth because we don't really accept lies. We investigate it and we find there were actually some European trolls who create like troll farms who would create fake news online. It was a wonderful story a couple of years ago on 60 Minutes. And they were interviewing these guys who basically created fake news online for money. Thank you, Russell. And they created fake news for Republicans and fake news for Democrats. They just wanted to make money for clicks, like on Facebook and stuff. And they found that whenever they created fake news for Republicans, they made lots of money because all the Republicans clicked and believed it. They then found that when they made fake news for Democrats, it never worked because Democrats would actually Google the story. Was it Albania? Was that it, Mark? It was a great broadcast. That whenever they did fake news targeting Democrats, it never worked because Democrats would actually Google and they would find out it was a fake story and they wouldn't share it. So the bot farm, the troll farm in Albania, I guess, thank you, Barry, for the gift, said that they stopped targeting their fake news to Democrats because Democrats were too smart. They would always figure it out, so they'd only target Republicans. That takes us to today and our little troll right here. So this is our Greek troll goat. He stops trolls. So Republicans, sadly, are very used to being lied to. Democrats are not. Voters in the middle are not. Moderate Republicans are not. You guys have been told for years not to believe the media because the media calls out your party for its lies. And that's understandable, because if I were a Republican, I would tell you the media lies too, because there'd be no way for me to get away with lying to you, right? The media would call me out on my lies. I've got to convince you the media is lying, because otherwise you'll believe them and you'll know I'm lying. So the Republicans constantly tell you, oh, CNN lies. What the Republican Party ended up doing is claiming that everyone in the media, by the way, they include Fox News now. Thank you, Dinan. Even Fox News, they don't believe anymore. Fox News, which is the Republican news outlet. Trump Republicans now tell you Fox News can't be trusted either, because even Fox News, after the insurrection turned on Donald Trump, they refused to accept his attempt to violently overthrow the government. So they want you to believe, the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, that every news outlet in the world, okay, including Fox News, but every news outlet in the world is lying to you. And the only ones telling you the truth are the crazy, wacky, far-right, what are they called? Newsmax and One America News. These two things you've never even heard of that are basically wacky activist websites in the US are the only two telling you the truth. But everyone, including Fox News, every news outlet in the world, every news outlet in America, every TV station, every newspaper have all joined together. Thank you, Digits. And they're all lying to you. All of them, except these two crazy little Republican outlets. Or maybe there isn't a conspiracy of every newspaper in the world and every news channel in the world. Maybe they're telling the truth and you're being lied to. So yeah, CNN is absolutely, hey Theo, Yasu, CNN is actually one of the best news outlets in the world. I would, in some ways it's the best because of their worldwide reach and their worldwide ability to basically get news worldwide. Absolutely, people should watch CNN. It is one of the best outlets, totally fair. MSNBC does lean left for my taste. CNN does not, but lots of good newspapers. People ask what newspapers. I read the Wall Street Journal, I read the New York Times, I read the Washington Post. I subscribe to those three. Lots of them are also very bad, very good actually, a lot of the other ones. But there's a lot of good news out there. But unfortunately, the Republicans, especially the MAGA Republicans, lie to you, and they're doing a lot of very dangerous things. They have to convince you to believe the lies. And the only way to do that is to try to undermine the people that call out the lies, and that would be undermining the media. So there we go. Thank you, Courtney. Now, whenever the trolls get into that, I always feel like it's important to have a little talk about the media, because this is one of the ways they undermine democracy, is by basically undermining the media, so that the whole point, by the way, this is what fascist governments do, or actually dictatorships do. Part of the process of getting to a dictatorship is convincing people that they don't know where to turn. Thank you, Courtney. That, I don't know what to believe, right? Right? If you don't know what to believe, you kind of give up on everything. And you go, well, some people say we're going towards dictatorship, some don't. I don't know what to believe, right? That is literally how dictatorships get installed. They first have to go after the people who tell you the truth, so that in the end, you don't know who to believe, and you just kind of go, okay, whatever, right? That's what these guys are doing. Associated Press is fine. They've always been good. CNN does not lean left. CNN leans towards democracy, sure. I mean, look, the problem for Republicans is you elected a fascist. His own chief of staff said so. His own head of the military called Trump a fascist. If people call him out for being a fascist, and he is a fascist, is that liberal or is that honest and telling the truth, right? I mean, if you're reporting on a fascist and you call him a fascist, aren't you just telling the truth? That's not bias. But it's a little trick Republicans play, the MAGA Republicans certainly play, is criticizing Donald Trump is considered biased, when all of us know Donald Trump is a horrific human being, was a horrific president, and is going to make another horrific president. Convicted felon, tried to violently overthrow the government. We know the routine about Trump, right? But it's a cute little play, a cute little trick that the MAGA supporters do, that if you call Trump out on his lies and his extremism, you're biased. Brilliant. Because then it makes the media sort of stop and go, well, maybe we shouldn't criticize Trump as much because we want to be fair, right? It's cute. It's very cute. In any case, so we were talking about the Russians have raised the central bank interest rate to 23%. Woo! Crazy, absolutely crazy. Anyway, all right, guys. That is it for the news. We will hang out and talk now. So Dems do not do what Republicans do. They really don't, Cable. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is unique. A lot of Republicans are not liars. A lot of Democrats are not liars. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. He is unlike any other presidential candidate we've had. He's like unlike any other president we have had. Democrats are not like Republicans when it comes to when we're talking about Donald Trump. He is a unique threat to this country and is a uniquely bad president and human being. And the things he has done and has promised to do. Trump is talking now about the latest news today. He's talking about bringing all our generals back. A bunch of generals who have retired. Trump wants to bring them back. They're generals who criticized him. He wants to bring them. They're done. They're retired. He wants to bring them back into service and court-martial them and throw them in prison. It would take away their pension. It would throw them in jail because they criticized him, right? That is what dictators do. That is not what Democrats do. That is not what Republicans do. It's what Donald Trump does. It's what a fascist would do. It's totally different. It's totally different. Thank you, KT. Anyway. Well, Mike Flynn, he'll be next. Let's wait and see if Mike Flynn tries to come back. Yeah, Wolf, you're going to get reported and hopefully kicked off at TikTok. Everybody report Wolf for making a threat of violence. Report that comment right now, everybody. Yeah, you don't come on here and threaten to kill people. Not cool at all. Violent and graphic. What actually is this called under here, guys? It's not suicide or self-harm. What do people actually call it under the harassment or bullying? They don't actually have a word, a category for this when people are like threatening violence, do they? Which is really weird. Illegal activities, violent and graphic content. I guess we'll call it violent and graphic content. All right. Yeah, see, and that's the problem. We've got Trumpers coming and threatening violence against people. That's not normal behavior. Got to tell you, folks, that isn't normal behavior. It's normal fascist behavior. It's not normal behavior. So, all right. So, any case, anyway, yeah, guys, let's hang out and chat. So interesting, by the way, I did finally get my packages, 2 of my 3 packages from Holland, which I like to call it, that Vlad had sent me from Ukraine. They've been sitting for a few months now. Vlad sent them this summer, but I was gone in Chicago for months, as you guys know. So I finally got the 2 boxes. They've not been opened up yet, but I'm very excited. I'm considering doing a private live later to unveil the boxes. Thank you, Ivan for the gift. But because it's a lot of cool stuff from Ukraine. Hey, Frederick. A lot of really cool auction items. We've got a couple auction items still left, by the way, I think. Not all the auctions are done. Oh, or did we just finish? Oh, I think we just finished. Nope. The Russian helmet is... Oh, all right. Brendy. Oh, we've got some bidding war going on the Russian helmet from World War II. Look out. The ornament, Flower Lady. Was there... good. I'm thinking, what ornament? You mean Jackie Kennedy? I love that thing. Oh my God, I love that thing. In any case, yes. So we've got a lot of cool new auction items coming this week that I will open up the box. Maybe I'll do a private live and we'll do a little unboxing because it is a lot of really cool stuff. I do not have an online shop, Cable. No, it's kind of too hard to figure out. Hey, Jen, it's kind of too hard to figure out. The auctions are over at Discord. There's only 1 auction item up right now. Thank you, Trish. But the auctions are over at Discord. Thank you, James, for subscribing. Our Discord community. You can find our Discord community on YouTube. Go to the description of the show and you'll see the link. On TikTok, you will find the link in our profile. In my profile on TikTok, click the link, the Linktree link, and you'll see a list of links come up, including Discord, which is the top one. If you're on a computer, you can click the Discord link. If you're on a phone, you got to push and hold the Discord link, and it'll pop open a pop-up that'll say accept invite, and then click it, and you're okay. Thank you, Margorg. Thank you, Trish. So Syndicate, I'm going to disagree with you on that. You may be too young. Your country's called Holland, damn it. It was over here. I know it's the Netherlands. I don't like calling it the Netherlands. We all grew up calling it Holland. Thank you, Toon Raider. Holland evokes tulips and stuff. It's a much nicer. the Netherlands. It sounds like the Netherlands sounds like we're talking about, like Charon and the Netherworlds, or it sounds like hell, the Netherlands. It totally sounds like, what's the word I'm even looking for? Like Hades in ancient Greece. You know what I mean? I hear Netherlands and I just think of the underworld. I know Holland's just a state, but it's what we call them. So so go over to Discord and you'll find the auction on the left-hand side. Although, as I said, there's only one auction item left right now, which is a Russian helmet from Ukraine. The lower lands, exactly. The nether regions. It does sound like that too, actually. Yes. I don't even know if that makes sense to foreigners. Like to an English speaker, you get that joke. Thank you, Hope, for the gifts. You get that joke if you're an English speaker. Anyway, South Holland, which is in the UK, that's funny. Anyway, all right, guys. So Discord keeps rejecting you. There's a lot of issues with Discord. If you're using a phone, though, remember what I said. You've got to hold down on the Discord link with your phone and hold your finger down until a thing pops up that says accept invite. Anyway, all right, guys. So we got more time. We will hang and chat about the news. Bonsoir, Roswell. Any ideas of some of the likely targets Ukraine will be going after? Yeah, they were talking about logistics hubs, equipment, basically like storage hubs, and airfields. Probably not, because they think the Russians have moved a lot of their planes further out, which got them out of the range of the Ukrainian weapons, but did make it harder for the Russians to attack Ukraine because the missiles are farther out. But where was this? It was the two main things that they were mentioning. Hang on here. Is logistics hubs. Oh, and actually airfields anyway. Airfields are still one of the main targets, even though the Ukrainians have moved a lot of the weapons further out. So the Russians have moved a lot of the weapons further out. Will Storm Shadows be able to reach Moscow? First of all, they don't have permission yet to use them, we don't think, but Storm Shadows, here's the problem. Big disagreement as to what the range of the Storm Shadow is, or what the range of any of this stuff is. Snowblade is saying 400 kilometers. I saw today something was claiming like 150 miles, which would be 50 kilometers or something. First of all, you can't believe the public information as to what the range is of a weapon, because the public information is not true. They give a lesser range publicly. Second of all, I thought I heard that the Storm Shadows could go up to 300 miles, which would be like 450 kilometers or so. Whereas now we're hearing 150 miles. I don't know if there's different variants of the Storm Shadows. Thank you, Ernie. Or what? If Callum were here, he would tell us. If any of the rest of you know. But Moscow is 300 kilometers would be 200 miles. Moscow, I want to say, is it 450 miles from Ukraine? I'm trying to remember from the Ukrainian border. From Kyiv, we can say. Alexa, how far is Moscow from Kyiv?
Kyiv is 469 miles from Moscow.
Okay, so Kyiv is 469 miles from Moscow. Alexa, stop. Kyiv to its own border is maybe 100 miles, 70 miles to its own border. So 350 miles maybe from the Ukrainian border to Moscow. So it still would be short. It still would be short, right? Hi, troll. It's not 700 miles. It's not. There's no way it's that far. It can't be that far, T-Sten. It can't. Kyiv is only 450 miles from Moscow. And Kyiv, once you get to the border, you're even closer. Bryce. No, Americans aren't afraid of nuclear war because guess what? Here's the problem you don't get, troll, Creole, Oriel person. Americans aren't afraid of nuclear war because there's not going to be one. Why would Russia launch a nuclear war against America when America has nukes that would fire back at Russia? Why would Russia start a nuclear war if we would respond by wiping out all of Russia's cities and killing hundreds of millions of Russians? Why, or 100 million Russians at least? Why would Russia do that? They wouldn't. There has been no explanation at all from the pro-Russia people to explain why. Because, by the way, too, it's kind of an interesting argument for pro-Russia. They're arguing the Russians, that nuclear war crap, right? You're not afraid of nuclear war. The troll is claiming that the Russians are going to launch nukes first. So they're admitting they're bad people, right? They're admitting the Russian government is corrupt, basically, right? That they would just launch nukes. But let's pretend they're right. Okay, let's pretend maybe the Russian government would consider it. Why would the Russian government do that? Why would the Russian government launch nukes, knowing that we've got nukes too, as do the French and the Brits, and we would respond by wiping all their cities off the planet? Why would they do that? And I do think they're rational. Thank you, Apple User. Apple User says don't assume they're rational. I think they're absolutely rational. I think, thank you, Bryce, if I'm the Russian government, I want you to think I'm irrational. I want you to think I'm North Korea crazy, right? I want you to think I will use my nuclear weapons because you looked at me the wrong way, right? That's what I want you to think if I'm Russia. But if I am the Russian government, we've seen nothing to suggest they're not entirely rational, right? They got pissed about us escalating. They got pissed about us giving Ukraine, access to our weapons to fire into Russia. So they decide to cut some cables going into Lithuania, right? It's rational. It's obnoxious, but it's rational. They're trying to make us pay a price. It's a very low price. But why would Putin, who's a very smart man, start a nuclear war with us when he knows the response will be that we will kill them with our nukes? Why would he do that? That would be stupid. The only reason that he would do that is if he was crazy, and he wants us to think he's crazy. He wants us to think, oh, I'm crazy, I would do it. Don't make me mad, right? And Biden fell for that bullshit, All right, go back to making dinner, Misha. Have a good night. So it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. But the Russians want you to be afraid of nuclear war. They want you to be afraid. Thank you, you're blocked. Really? Why don't you tell us? Yeah, whatever. The trolls. I love the trolls. Yeah, I don't know anything about nuclear arms, except that I've actually worked on U.S. arms control with top secret code word clearances. Have you worked on nuclear arms control? Show of hands. Who in the audience has had a top secret code word clearance working on U.S. nuclear arms control issues? Hello. Yes? Show of hands? Actually, I'm sure some of you probably have. So yes, Mr. Troll, I do actually know what I'm talking about. One of the few issues I actually know something about. Doesn't mean I'm always right, by the way, but I do actually have some background on this, so thank you. Also, it's not rocket science when talking about nuclear deterrence. It's really not rocket science, although somebody had said that the joke the other day, it actually is rocket science, I guess, because you're talking about rockets. But the whole nuclear deterrence is actually pretty simple in some ways. I know, I was being modest saying one of the few, kitchen monkey. Tulsi Gabbard is horrific. She's gonna be a real problem. Yep, as Trump's director of national intelligence, who kind of favors Russia. So yes, very dangerous. Yep. If we go to war, Biden does not stay in power. Nope. The Constitution says Biden's presidency ends on January 20th at noon, and Trump becomes president, and that's the way it is. Doesn't matter if we're at war or not. Sadly, but true. You were offered to work on a nuclear submarine by the Navy recruiter. Nuclear subs are pretty. I've been on one. Very cool. Surprisingly, I was not claustrophobic, maybe because I was younger, but it was very cool. You can capture a nuclear submarine with a fishing net. Interesting. I don't think so, Jeff, at all. No, Jeff says, do you think we're using the Ukrainian people to diminish Russia's military? No. Is an added advantage of the war in Ukraine that we are diminishing Russia's military? Absolutely, positively. Yes. So that if you're trying to determine, is it worth helping Ukraine? Does it make sense to help Ukraine? One of the things you should consider is Russia hegemonic dictatorship that will go to war with the rest of Europe if we don't stop them. Second thing you should think of, if we give the Ukrainians lots of weapons, they're going to blow the crap out of the Russians, and they're going to destroy the Russian military and hurt Putin's government economically and hurt Putin's government militarily and set the Russians back years in terms of what kind of a threat they can pose to the rest of Europe. So it is absolutely valid to say one of the benefits of helping Ukraine is we will decimate the Russian military. But it is not the case to say, oh, the only reason the U.S. is helping Ukraine is to decimate the Russian military. No, the U.S. is actually seriously worried that Putin will go to war with the rest of Europe if we don't stop him in Ukraine. And there's a humanitarian element, but the humanitarian element is about this big. And this is something people don't like to hear, but it's true. In foreign policy, governments don't make decisions based on humanitarian needs, really. The primary concern is and should be, is it beneficial to my government? Does it advance the national interest of my country getting involved, right? If it advances our national interest, we will get involved. If it doesn't, we won't. Thank you, Doughboy. It's not enough to say, but they need our help. Lots of people need our help. In a democracy especially, you've got to make the people happy, and the people don't want you getting involved if it doesn't benefit our country. It sounds very Machiavellian, but it's true. So I don't think our policy was made because we felt bad for the Ukrainians. The American people felt bad, but the American government looked and basically very smartly said, Russia is a danger. The Soviet Union is back. Putin wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union, and we need to stop him because the next people he's going after is Europe. And if Putin starts a war with Europe, guess what happens? Then we get dragged into that war, and then we literally have World War III. So we are stopping World War III by helping the Ukrainians. So Sean Duffy picked for transportation secretary. I'm forgetting who he, oh God, him? He was he a member? Oh God, he's horrible. Oh, he's the one married to Rachel, isn't he? I forgot. Was he another member of Congress? And then he was on Fox. No, she's on Fox News. Prosecutor, former sports commentator. But was he a member of Congress at least? Right? Yeah, House of Representatives. Yeah, I can at least handle that he was a House member. That I can handle. That's okay. I can handle that. So thank you, Mario, for the glasses. His wife is on Fox News. A lot. Rachel. Good question, Devin. So I think it's kind of a catch-22. Devin says, which I was asking this question at the beginning as well. Why do we think Russia would attack Europe if their military is diminished? Okay. And the argument there is, well, if we've really hurt Russia's military and their military isn't doing as well, then they're not a threat anymore, right? For a while, that's true. But once they build back up again, they're a threat. The problem is, what lesson does Putin learn from this war? Does Putin learn? Thank you, Mario. Appreciate that. That cat just cracks. That panda thing cracks me up. Does Putin learn the lesson from this war that it's worth invading? It's worth taking on NATO because in a couple of years NATO will get bored. A, NATO will be terrified about nuclear war, so they'll pull punches. B, after a couple of years NATO will get bored and they'll want to make peace. If that's Putin's takeaway from this war ends, he takes 3 to 5 years to build his troops back up, and then he goes after Poland, or he goes after Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, something, right? Goes after the was it Suwalki Gap or whatever, connecting Belarus to Lithuania, because he says, I've learned the lesson from the war in Ukraine that even that Trump for sure won't fight me, but even the Europeans will get bored. And they'll be so afraid of my nuclear weapons that there's no risk of a nuclear war. So that's the concern. The concern isn't that Putin will attack right away, because I think Putin would be an idiot to attack right away. Because you're right, he's been seriously wounded by the Ukrainians, even though he's got new weapons from North Korea, new weapons from Iran, right? But he's been seriously damaged by the Ukrainians. Give him 3 to 5 years, and either he goes after Ukraine again, or he goes after Europe. That's the concern. And frankly, China's another concern here is, what message is China taking from all of this? Is China looking at all of this and saying, you know what? Maybe it's worth taking on NATO, right? Maybe Trump's people are peaceniks. Maybe they are too afraid to fight, right? So that's its own. Hang on. There we go. Make my light a little redder. Do I think the U.S. should be the world's police? I think there's nobody else. You don't think so, that's fine, but there ain't nobody else. And by the way, we're not in Ukraine just to be the police. We're in Ukraine because we're trying to stop World War III. Because if we don't stop the Russians there, the Russians will go after Europe next. And if the Russians go after Europe, we will be going to war. If the Russians start a war with Europe, we will be in that war, and we will literally be at World War III. So depends what you mean by the world's policeman. Do I think that the way you stay safe is being involved in the rest of the world and stopping threats before they come home? Basically, do you go and you stop the terrorists before they blow up New York? Yes, you do. You do. Do you go and you stop countries like Russia before they declare war on your friends, and you're forced to join the war like World War I, where it becomes a huge cascade and everyone goes to war because all of our friends got attacked? If you can prevent that in advance, yeah, you do that. Yes. No, Biden did not. Yeah, Biden just started this war. Biden didn't just start the war. The war started in 2014. You might want to Google. The war in Ukraine started in 2014 when the Russians invaded. And then it rekindled again in 2022 when the Russians invaded some more. So Biden didn't start any war. Good try, though. Although you may not be a troll. You may have been repeating one of the crazy people. Bingo. How many world wars have there been since the U.S. became the world's police? 0. That is correct. How do you think this war will end and when? At this point, thank you, Will, for the gift. At this point, it looks like Trump is going to force the war to end by defunding Ukraine and basically handing it over to Russia. That's what it looks like. Oh, I see our little troll got mad that I proved them wrong. I know. Sorry, troll. I know. Remember, we're fact-based here. If you say something stupid, we're going to call you out for it. The Greek goat knows no lies. It cannot be tricked. So, anyway. Hey, Deemer. What else? I hope the rest of the world stands with Ukraine. Well, half the U.S. will. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for the gifts tonight, guys. I haven't even had to hit you up for the gifts. You've been very generous, so thank you for that. Hey, happy frogs. Yes. This is a typical, actually, tonight's a rather trolly night. Maybe I used some, did I mention Trump? I am not married to a Ukrainian defender of Kyiv. Nope. That's Joey Contino you're thinking of. He's another TikToker. His wife is Ukrainian, I believe. If that may be who you're thinking of. I'm just somebody who likes Ukraine and really doesn't like the Russians. So really doesn't like Russia, I should say, not the Russians. Russia as the government. One more minute left on the helmet. Uh-oh, are they still bidding? So the bids have been going wild. Oh, they are. Praxis and Brandy are going nuts on the helmet. Da, 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 da. Look out. Look out. Dun, da, 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 da. This is the Russian helmet from Ukraine. Fun. It's claiming 2 minutes left. It's claiming 1 minute to 2 minutes left. I'm going to leave this on. Now I'm kind of like drawn into this now. Fun. Ruh-roh. I try to be factual. Thank you, Ancient. I always tell people, like when you do these kind of shows, it doesn't really benefit you to lie or spin because eventually you'll be wrong. And then people won't believe you. So even if you I support Ukraine, I'm not going to lie about it because then you're going to go, this guy has lied to me about the war from the beginning, right? This guy is not happy about war, but this guy is very happy about standing up to evil dictatorships. Oh, yeah. Up, and it's done. And the winner is, did Praxis slip in at the end? Who is it? Is it Praxis? It's Praxis. Woo-woo. Woo. That was fun. That was fun. I'm not switching to Blue Sky, Sky Queen, but I have signed up for Blue Sky. I had signed up before, but I'm starting to use it now for real. So I've been checking in every day. I'm using Twitter and Blue Sky both now. So don't want to get, I've got 100,000 followers on on Twitter. I'd rather not just give them up. And Twitter is important, Thank you, J-Mac. Appreciate that. My name on Blue Sky is Aravosis, same as my name on TikTok. My account, actually, my TikTok is the same. My account is Aravosis. My Twitter account is the same. My Blue Sky account is the same. YouTube would not let me do it. We don't know why. So YouTube, it's John Aravosis DC because they're complicated. But otherwise, thank you, Kyle. Actually, you know what happened, by the way? I was very excited. So I may have mentioned the other day that somebody either reported, thank you, Toti, or YouTube just kind of screwed up and gave me a violation for being anti-vax, which was wild. And I was kind of pissed because it got fixed though, which I'm shocked. You remember how a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we had some woman in the comments on YouTube, which is rare that a troll goes on YouTube. And she was being anti-vaccine, anti-COVID vaccines and lying about them. And I went on a little rant about that she was crazy and she was wrong. Well, I'm not going to repeat everything now because I don't want YouTube to get confused again. But YouTube, the moderators got confused and thought I was attacking vaccines. So they gave me a ding against my account. Well, I appealed it. They checked the appeal and still said, no, you were criticizing vaccines. I wasn't criticizing vaccines. I was defending vaccines against anti-vaxxers. I reached out to YouTube support and I got a human being chatting with somebody on support. I convinced the person that because I said, go look at the video. He went and looked at it. He goes, you're right. The person contacted the higher ups at YouTube, and a week later, some human being at YouTube actually went and looked at my video and said, you're right. You weren't being anti-vax, and they lifted the violation or whatever, which I was shocked. I mean, not only I got a human being, but they actually, thank you, Sarah, they actually fixed it. I mean, YouTube? I have never gotten a human being before at YouTube, ever. But I was, because I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, but I was kind of annoyed. I was like, I'm the only famous Aravosis, yes. Yes. I was just kind of annoyed because I'm like, of all things to ding me for, claiming I'm an anti-vaxxer? Like, are you insane? That was my beginning on TikTok. My beginnings on TikTok, the first year, I started doing videos on TikTok about COVID. I was basically being pro-vaccine and telling the truth about COVID. Anyway, but I was very happy. I thought that was very, TikTok, on the other hand, can be very difficult with appeals. But I mean, as can YouTube, but they did fix it, which I was very good. Very good. Anyway, so what else, guys? What else? Like I said, maybe I don't know if later we should. Maybe in a bit I'll go private and we'll open the boxes. Because like I said, I just got two of Vlad's boxes, two of the three of Vlad's boxes from Ukraine of our new auction items, and they're absolutely, the boxes are huge. I mean, they're ridiculously large boxes. My name, we don't know if it means anything. It could come from Arab. It could come in Greek. It could have something to deal with corn, like an old ancient Greek word for corn. It could just be, I mean, who knows? We don't know. It's only my family that has the name, which is interesting. Thank you, Ryan, for subscribing. Thank you, Pork Chop. But we don't know what my family name means, but it's only my family that has the name, which is kind of wild because it's interesting when you think about it. Like, a lot of people's names aren't unique to their family. And I always sort of never realized that growing up. Like, I don't know of any of our friends where their name is literally only their family. Although I guess when you get some of the clans in Ireland, those family names, a lot of them are all tied together, right? I think. Rosillo, I've never actually seen Rosillo. That's interesting, actually. I've never have seen that. It was not changed at Ellis Island, no. We think back in Greece, because I found some references, we think it might have been Aravosis before, instead of Aravosis with a B. But in Greek, a B is spelled MP. So you see some listings of Aravosis, like Aramposis, but it's not Aramposis, it's Aravosis, and other listings of Aravosis. But the problem is people were illiterate, and the names were always spelled differently. Even my mom's side of the family, some of the family names, the names go one L, two L's, an I, no I. Like, you get all of it because people were illiterate. They didn't spell their name. They said their name, you know? Sasha wants more water. One moment. All right, a little more water. All right. There you go. All right. Ooh, so the name thing, but it didn't change at Ellis Island, though. No. Same issue with your Scottish last name? Your first name means foot soldier? In Irish? What's your first name? I don't even remember your first name. What is your first name? Person from around the woods? Oh, thanks, guys, Queen. Troy. Your first name is Troy? That's funny. I'm like not used to people's. I am Aravosis on Blue Sky. It's just my last. So it's Aravosis dot whatever the heck it is, blue sky dot something. So just my last name, yeah. So just Aravosis. Thank you, Elizabeth. I know I'm used to calling you Gunther. Troy? In a million years, I don't think of you as Troy. That's really funny. That's very funny. First name is freaking Russian pronunciation. Tamara? Tamara or Tamara? Tamara? What's the accent on it? Yeah. Ukraine needs to win. I agree, Roscoe. Anyway, Blue Sky is nice. It's a Twitter alternative. It's less than Twitter. I mean, it's kind of tough. Sasha, stop. Come on. It's difficult because, like I said, I've got 100,000 followers on Twitter, and I have always had very good I've always had very good followers on Twitter. Meaning I've never hit the most. I mean, like, you've got people with 1 million followers, but I've got tons of media and politicians and everybody else following me on, basically influential people following me on Twitter, so that I've always had more influence that way than even just having 100,000 followers would suggest. So that's part of the reason I don't want to give up on Twitter entirely, because I am on Blue Sky. I just don't know if I will get the same followers. I hope I will, but it's been nice having that access on Twitter, although Elon really fucked it up though. Yes, Mrs. Toad, you did win. I sent you a private message telling you next steps, but yes, you did. Congratulations. I'm doing both, actually. I'm doing both. Yep. Sasha, I gave you water. Cut it out. Oh, no, you don't even want the water. She's begging. Sasha wants me to brush her teeth and give her a treat. That's what she's doing now. All right. All right. Where do you follow on live, and can you explain gifts? Oh, God. I'm not sure what you mean by where do you follow. Gifts? Actually, mods, maybe somebody can explain in the comments how the gift thing works. And explain again what you mean by where do you follow. Or are you saying, how do you follow my account? Because people are saying they should follow me. To follow me, I think you have to go back to my follow is up top on the left. Okay. Did not know that. Okay. Oh, you did? Okay, good. Thank you, Sarah. Or Sarah Jane. Blue Skies, you're following me on Blue Sky. Excellent. Yeah, Kash Patel for head of the FBI. Yeah, because you hate America. Sasha, just wait. Just wait. So I'm looking here. What else we got here? Quiet. We got all day. I'm going to tell my dog to just be quiet. What else, guys? What else? Thank you, Dawn. Just looking. I'm looking at the news here on Twitter. Any news here? No, not seeing any more news here. Thank you, Ava. No. Nope. No more news on Twitter. Nothing new. My name on Blue Sky is the same, Aravosis. Yep. So it's Aravosis.bsky or however it works or whatever. Yeah. Yep. You'll see. I've got 10,000 followers or something, which at least helps, because I'm sure there will be fake accounts soon. The FCC pick, yeah, he's crazy. I don't quite know what the implication is. But Trump picked a guy to be the head of the Federal Communications Commission who's a MAGA lunatic. He wants to go after all the media and stuff and says they're being unfair. I mean, it's really kind of scary stuff. I just don't know whether he'll have the ability to actually do it, because he's still got to follow the law. But he's a nut job, which is a little scary. Yeah. It shows it as John Aravosis if you search in Blue Sky. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I wasn't sure if you used my whole name, if it's me or some troll or whatever. Okay. That's good to know. Thank you. Mama Knows Best is married a guy with an unusual French name. There's a story of 3 brothers getting to the East Coast U.S., splitting up, never seeing each other again. Pretty much all the family in the U.S., persona non grata in France. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. You can't go to Discord. It shuts TikTok sound off. Well, that may be, yeah, don't do both at once. You could always wait till the show is over and then go over. At least it's letting you go there. That's good, because sometimes people can't click through, which is not easy. Sasha, wait. Oh, God. Especially in her age now. She's just gotten like bitchy all day long. When she whines all day like she's being beaten. And now she wants me to brush her teeth and give her a treat. So I've got to spend half an hour. An hour before dinner, she starts doing the same thing. She whines at me for an hour before dinner. And I'm like, quiet. It drives me up the wall. Absolutely up the wall. Oh, my God. Anyway, I doubt it's menopause. She's 15. So she's like 83 in dog years. So she's turning 15. So Blue Sky in my link tree. I don't know if I got blue. I have to put it on there. I don't know if I put it on there. I'm gonna have to actually, now you got me thinking. I'm gonna go look and make sure it's even there. Link tree. Hang on. I may not have put it there. I don't know. Because we had so many different services we were using, Mastodon and everything else, that it wasn't clear like which one was the one we were all going to use. Now you got me. Oops, my glasses. I have a dog. I know. Hi. She's now at my feet trying to be. Okay, there you. Hi. Okay. She's trying to be a good girl coming to my feet. Okay. Oops. What's going on here? My Instagram integration is expired. Okay, that's a little weird. I don't have Blue Sky on. Do I not have Blue Sky on here? I don't. Wow. I don't have it on here. Well, that's not very good. Add a link. Well, let's add it. Although the URL, oh God, is there a URL? Now, hold on. Now I've got to look at this and go Blue Sky Aravosis and try to find a URL. All right, come on. I have no, is it my profile? Is that the URL? I guess that's the URL. Okay, add. All right, Blue Sky. Hang on. Blue Sky. All right. Okay. I've added myself. So now it should be at the top of the list. There we go. All righty. It's at the top of the list. Good. She's calmed down and gone back to her bed. There you go. Because she gives up and she gets upset. Yeah, I like these. These are my reading glasses, but they're like cheap little Costco reading glasses, but they're really nice. Aren't they cool? They're not even Costco. They're whatever, one of the brands. But they're, other than the fact that they reflect too much, they're really pretty glasses considering they're, cheap reading glasses, I really like them. Anyway. We do not know whether Biden is only allowing the attacks in Kursk itself. We assume, but we don't know. Little dogs do live longer. Yes. Thank God. Yes. The price of glasses. Exactly. No. So I've got 2 new boxes from Ukraine from Vlad, another box coming tomorrow. What I think I'll do actually is I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll just do just for fun, we'll do a hangout. I'll do a subscriber only hangout in the morning. Let me see, because I've got somebody coming over to fix something on the balcony. So HVAC guy coming to check out the HVAC. So depending how all of that goes. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Poppy. Oh, Poppy, Jack Russell's 22. Wow. But let me see. Maybe I'll, thank you, Keshab. I will maybe go live and we can unbox the Ukraine stuff because it's pretty cool stuff. Like, it's really cool stuff. There's a couple things in there that are kind of insane, actually. I mean, it's like, I think Vlad sent me a Russian drone, I think, to auction off. I was like, oh my God. So it's pretty wild stuff. So we will see. I don't know. I think he did. Thank you, Eileen. I have no idea. It's some pretty crazy stuff. So, when it's evening, it would be evening in Australia. Yes, that would be true. Anyway. Well, I'll go live on TikTok, YouTube, and Discord. Yeah. I mean, because I don't want to unbox to the public. I think it's boring for the public if I unbox. Oh, Mark just left Twitter. Wow. Mark Hamill just left Twitter and came to Blue Sky. Now, Mark follows me on Twitter, which is that's one of the things I don't like is Mark Hamill follows me on Twitter. Mark isn't following me yet on Blue Sky. So I'm kind of like, I'm losing all of my big famous people who follow me on Twitter. But hopefully you know, they all find me again. So, do you think doggy dental care leads to longer life? Oh yeah. Are you kidding? Absolutely. Absolutely. I also think in people too. I had an uncle that had the heart thing where they get the bacteria in the heart from the teeth. Yeah. Yeah. A GPS controller and remove it. Oh, that's funny, Snowblade. I didn't even think of that. Mark Hamill is amazing. Are you kidding? Mark Hamill's absolutely amazing. Stupid? What are you, 12? Mark Hamill's stupid. Oh, hey, Simply Live. Yeah, that's an old Wikipedia entry. You have nobody following you on Blue Sky? Well, just hey, tweet some things or whatever you call it. I have tweeted my followers my new account. I probably need to do it more. My dog has had very good teeth. I don't know why, being a terrier, but she's had very good teeth. Oh, well, just wait. Now she's up again. So I've gotten lucky, although I do kind of brush her teeth every night, but I do it briefly. But still, her teeth have been, she's never had dental problems. I've only had them cleaned once when she was 10, and that's it. No, Mark Hamill is not a figure skater. That would be Dorothy Hamill. Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. So, yep, she doesn't like her chew toys. She used to like chew toys, but you're not right. It was Dorothy Hamill, I think was her name. The Hamill Camel, remember? And I think, didn't she have the haircut that was kind of like this, kind of a curvy haircut? That's very funny. He'd love that. He would love that though. I'm sure he gets it a lot. Weren't you in the Olympics? If we were still on Twitter, I would tweet him that. The bowl cut, exactly. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, he was the Joker. That figures. Oh, Gibbs and NCIS. That's funny. Yeah, that's Mark Hamill, I think, right? Oh, no, what's his name? Not Mark Hamill. What's the Mark? Oh my God, what's his name? Who played Gibbs in NCIS? Oh God, I'm forgetting his name. Mark Harmon. Thank you, Zerpachi. Mark Harmon. Yeah, he's very good. Yeah. Excellent actor. All right, guys, we've been going for an hour and a half. I'm going to get your first follower on Blue Sky. What, am I even following you on Blue Sky? I'm your first follower? Am I following you? Are you sure? Yes. Or you mean you're following me? Yeah, maybe that's what you meant. I don't remember if maybe I'm following you. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. We've been doing this for an hour and a half. I will check in the morning, probably. I will try to do a live just for fun. Mark Harmon, that's funny. I'll do a live just so we can maybe do a private live just so we can open the boxes from Ukraine and have some fun. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. This was fun. I like having all the people show up. It's kind of a fun it's fun when we get good turnout. All right, guys. I will have a good night. Hope you have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Either tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Eastern, I'm back for everybody. But tomorrow morning, I'll probably do one for the paid subscribers just to open up the box of cool stuff from Ukraine that we'll be auctioning off. So, yep, do follow me on Blue Sky. Thank you, Bad Gal. I'm Aravosis on Blue Sky. I guess you can just Google my last name in Blue Sky and you'll find it. But it's also in my link on TikTok now, in the Linktree link. So you can check it there too. Kalovradi, same to you, Theo. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you. And I'm